OnixCoin has some insane potential, and we may not be waiting too much longer before we see that potential breakout that we have been looking for. We are going to be looking over the chart today and seeing a really nice consolidation on the chart that does typically lead into some level of breakout. So, whether it's a breakup or a breakdown, we can't know for sure, but usually with this type of consolidation, it's probably going to be into the breakout phase, but again, you just never know for sure. So we'll be taking a look at that today. We're also going to be taking a look at just the state of OnixCoin. We've got some pretty interesting news coming out from people in the community. It does look like there are more eyes taking note that OnixCoin is kind of that sleeping giant, maybe that hidden gem, that a lot of us do think that it already is. We're starting to see more and more people take note of that. And then of course, I did want to go over a price prediction as well, just because I do think we could see OnixCoin do some pretty interesting things. We've already seen it do some pretty interesting things, and so I do think that it can continue from there. So we'll go on ahead and we'll take a start looking at the crypto bubbles today. We can see a little bit of a rebound today, which is good. We can see over the past week and the past month, it's been really rough, and we're going to see that on the OnixCoin chart as well, which is why I wanted to preface with this. All altcoins right now are getting absolutely smashed, and so I would not be too concerned about the fact that OnixCoin is having a little bit of some issues kind of keeping up with some of the prices that it was pulling a couple months back. And so just want to kind of preface with that, basically everything through in the whole market right now is kind of in that 30 to 40% pullback range, which is a pretty substantial amount. Obviously, we do have a couple here and there that are green, but this is very few and far between. As you can see, it looks like there's about 5, maybe 7 here that are green. Everything else is red and very red. So just keep that in mind. One thing I did want to check before we take a look at the price for the day as well is we can see that Onyx has actually just released an AI agent. This is new. If you go into their website and then you launch the app, and then from the app at the very bottom, you'll see the Onyx AI agent. You can see right here, you got to connect your wallet to get started, but it does some pretty interesting things. It's got fast deployment, so you can deploy smart contracts to multiple blockchain networks with simple natural language instructions, which is really cool. Also secure interactions, so end-to-end encrypted communications with your wallet for maximum security. And you can also access pre-built templates for ERC20s, NFTs, and governance contracts. If you are looking to kind of launch your own project, the Onyx AI blockchain assistant is potentially a pretty good place to do that. Obviously, there's a lot of different crypto projects trying to unlock utility in the blockchain ecosystem through AI, and so I think this is a fantastic thing that Onyx has introduced here. So if you are interested, like I said, it's on the Onyx website. You just go into the app, and then from there you'll see that the AI agent is one of those new things in the section below. Now, moving along, we can see here on the chart, we're seeing a little bit of a consolidation happening here. Now, some of you might be like, oh, well, you're trying to fit the line and all this type of stuff. BTCC doesn't have much of the historical here. So if we actually go to trading view, you can see, this is kind of what it looks like when you have more of that historical price. It's followed this for quite a while. It's actually followed this trend line pretty closely, basically since July of 2024. You can see it was following the trend line on the top end of it, and then you can see here the trend line was acting as points of support here all the way through December until we broke through in January. Then of course in January we saw that mega move, and then since then we've kind of bounced off it once, and now potentially looking like we're bouncing it off a second time here, and this is kind of where that consolidation that we're coming into is kind of what we're seeing. Now, as you can see, we'll switch back to BTCC for this one because we'll talk about some other stuff as well. But you can see we're getting very close to the point of this wedge. So basically, the furthest you could feasibly go through this wedge would be the 6th of July. So only a couple weeks left before we start to see something happen with OnixCoin, one direction or the other, whether it is a break up or a breakdown. As we saw from kind of the trading view, this line has been far stronger than what we've seen from this line. So obviously, this is a line that has had a lot of rejection along it. We can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, something, a whole bunch in here. And then we can also see a couple others in this area as well. So definitely a lot of resistance from this end, but we've also seen even more support and resistance kind of following this trend line. So if I had to guess, it's probably that we break above, but again, you just never know. And particularly with a lot of the the potential geopolitical issues that we are seeing, anything could happen. This is a very, very dangerous time to be trading, particularly trading leverage. But I will say, we are sitting in a spot that does look pretty ideal from a risk to reward perspective. Obviously, we're very much close towards the bottom of this trend line here. You could probably set a stop loss relatively close below this trend line. And then, if it breaks above, fantastic. If it breaks below, then of course, you get stopped out on that trade. But it is, this is a time where anything can happen. There's obviously been a lot of volatility. We're seeing, Ethereum and Bitcoin have some pretty wide price movements, things like that. So you just got to be careful. Make sure that what you are doing is, measured and you've thought about it and a lot of that type of stuff. So if you are interested though, and you're wanting to trade on BTCC, I do have that link in the description below. If you are interested, like I said, they do a 10% bonus on first time deposits, as well as up to $10,055 in deposit bonuses. So this is all, a really, really good deal if you're looking to make a pretty decent bit of extra money because you want to trade anyway. Feel free to do that. It's a really, really good deal. Also, they do have the demo trading account here. So if you're new and you're just wanting to kind of test your hand out, you're not willing to really put too much money at stake or anything, they do have the demo trading. So you can get familiar with how to use the platform. You can get familiar with how to trade, all of this type of stuff. So if you're interested in that, of course, they do have that as well. Just check the link in the description below. Now, the next thing that I wanted to show you before we get into that XCN or the OnixCoin price prediction is we can see that the Phoenix Group has come up with a list of top assets in the accumulation zone. This is pretty cool because you can see this was done just a couple of days ago on June 20th. And I will actually remove my picture for now just so you can see everything. But you can see right now, you've got Pi, Trump, Kaya, WIF, Arrow, OnixCoin, Aether, Akash, LivePeer, and Ravencoin. You can also see the 7-day change. So Kaya, of course, has done quite well. Aerodrome has done quite well. And then you have some others that have not done particularly well. Pi really hasn't done much. WIF hasn't really done much. Trump's down a little bit. OnixCoin's up a little bit, which is good to see. Aether's down a pretty substantial amount. Ravencoin's down a pretty substantial amount. And then Akash and LivePeer not really doing too much. So but you can see these are the top assets in the accumulation zone. For those of you who are unfamiliar, the accumulation phase is signaled by the asset's performance and key metrics. In this phase, trading volumes are significantly higher than usual. This may be caused by the activity of trading bots or represent the appearance of a bigger player building up his or her position. So that's kind of what we're seeing from the XCN or from the Phoenix Group. XCN kind of running in the middle of the pack here is one of the top assets to watch being in the accumulation zone. So pretty interesting. We can see kind of ranging from 4 billion down to 250 million. So a pretty wide spread of assets that we are seeing here. Overall, I think that this makes sense, right? I mean, we've seen a lot of really, really strong activity from OnixCoin. We're also looking at it coming towards the end of a very, very long and well-defined wedge. This is always a good thing to see from a technical perspective. This is generally a pretty good technical indicator to rely on and to kind of look towards when trying to predict some future moves coming up. Now, of course, you cannot predict the future. Anything can happen. So don't just be like, oh, we're in a wedge, so now it's going to 3x. That would be wrong just because we just never know. If everybody knew that, then obviously there wouldn't be a breakout to be had because everybody would already be in. So just always remember that. Make sure that you are not relying too much on one single point of data. But what we are seeing here is if we roll back, we can see Phoenix Group's got their eye on it. We can see the really, really nice consolidation that's happening. There is definitely quite a bit of data here supporting that we could see a decent move back to the upside. So that leads me into the final piece of this video, which is discussing a price prediction for OnixCoin. So we can see here OnixCoin at just over 1 cent right now. We can see with a fully diluted valuation that puts it at about a $600 million market cap. At this point, I think a 10x is entirely possible. That would put us at about a $6.2 billion market cap. If you think about the space that they're playing in, that's about, it's the payment space. Probably their closest, most visible competitor would be XRP. I think XRP is kind of a similar type of project. Again, I will say for OnixCoin, the risk that XRP is exposed to, I will say, OnixCoin is exposed to as well, which is stable coins. Stable coins are obviously doing incredibly well. We can see Circle just did an IPO. Circle's done insane numbers over the past couple of weeks. It's hard to say, why you need a specific coin to transfer money when you have stable coins and stable coins exist. So this is something that I want to be pretty clear about with OnixCoin as well, is I just want to make sure that we're understanding that there are some risks kind of inherent to the business model of OnixCoin. However, given that it is a modular blockchain, given that it's essentially using pieces of Arbitrum but secured by Base, I think it's kind of an interesting kind of mix of different things that we're seeing within the overall space that we could just purely off of hype alone do really, really well. And so, I think a 10x getting to 6.2 billion, that would push us, if we were to go back to the overall list, 6.2 billion would put us in the range of like I guess BUSD or SHIB or Litecoin, or kind of the two big ones. If we were to see 100x, that would put us at a $62 billion range, which would be just over the market cap of USDC. And that would be at about just shy of half the market cap of XRP. Now, of course, 100x would be putting us at the like $1 range, actually $1.30 range. I think within this next within this next cycle, just more generally, I think 100x would be incredibly unlikely. Anything is possible, of course, but I think it'd be incredibly unlikely, particularly given the success of stable coins. I don't see the narrative really running that hard, but I think we could see, a 10x I believe is entirely possible. 20x potentially even likely. That would put us at about a $13-ish billion fully diluted market cap. That would be a little bit, or that would be in the range of SUI. I can't remember exactly. Fully diluted, I think SUI is like 25 or 30 billion. So it would actually be smaller than SUI from a fully diluted perspective. But that's something that I think we could probably reasonably see. That would get us in like the 26 cent range. So that I think would be a pretty reasonable price prediction, at least from my perspective. 10x I think totally doable, particularly under the right conditions. Maybe looking at 20x plus. So that's kind of what I'm seeing here. Hopefully you did find the information in this video useful. If you did, a like and a subscribe really, really does help me out. Also, if you have any thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, feelings, anything like that, just drop those in the comment section below. I do try to read and respond to all of those. And thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.